Thank you, Johnny Collins.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Freaking baby all night long. I want night. Yes, 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 and yes. I want to dance tonight. We are live. We are live, and we are live on Facebook, live on YouTube. Wait a minute. Let's see. Yes. I don't know. All these, we have some technical. I'm having difficulty saying technical difficulties. Princess in the house. How are you? All right. Well, I'm going to keep it rolling. I'm rolling on Facebook. I'm rolling on YouTube, and we are with you live. We're talking about the village today as I continue to try to get my little camera straight. All these technical difficulties that we've had. Let's see. Please go away. Yes. All right. So now, what are we talking about today? I'm just looking at all these. I'm running from a different apparatus. I guess I broke my phone this weekend because I cannot get it to switch to another camera. So that's going to be a lot of fun trying to get that fixed. But we're going to keep it moving. Let's see. We got technical difficulties over there. Don't have Princess. Okay. We got two people here. So it says, and some people here on Facebook. We're live. Halo. Yeah, Diva. We're here with UNA, UNA University. Oh, we're going to move through this today. And we're dealing with returning to the village now. I'm in Mexico, as I told you. Now it's 7:45 a.m. here. Should be about 7:40 or 9 there in Eastern. And for all of you all in North America, halo. Okay, we're gonna get on this thing today. We're dealing with returning to the village now. Before I get started, I don't know what's going on with my technical issues, but I do want to thank the spirits for allowing me to be here to share this information with you. And we're going to get into it now. If you all have any comments or any questions, please, we're going to box on Facebook and YouTube. All right, we're getting to the point. We're going to be promoting on all three platforms: Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram at the same time. And we're not going to have these technical difficulties. We're not. All right, but we're going to get into this today. We're dealing with returning to the village. Returning to the village, all right, and why we must return to the village. I want to thank everybody for joining me today. As we get into this session, y'all know I like to tell you, I like to make sure buckle your seatbelts because we're ready to go on a ride on this session. We got a lot of things that we're going over dealing with this particular topic. What is the village? We're going to get into some statistics. We're going to get into seeing the mind of the woman and what does that actually mean? When we're seeing the mind of the woman, really we're seeing the mind of this planet, whatever entity that we're in, this is the mind. All right. So when we're talking about Mother Earth, you're seeing the mind of the mother. And we're going to tell you how to see that. And we're going to deal with rebuilding the village. So I'm going to see if I can see if I can make sure I'm not locking anybody out. Let's see. But we are live on Facebook. I want to invite everybody to please like and share on Facebook because we are rebuilding. We are rebuilding the whole platform. So we've got Diva Laria, but we're rebuilding UNA platform, or we are building it rather. So I want y'all to go to UNA Republic on YouTube and please like and share on there because we're building that up and we want y'all to help us build it. All right. So now, as I get into this, and remember, we're going to be going into our own, how do you say it? We're going to be going into our own app very shortly with the UNA app. So we want to invite you all to go ahead and, share, join us there. Join us on as we build up the UNA Republic on YouTube, UNA Republic. All right, so now here we go. Let's get into this now. What are we talking about? Returning to the village. All right, so now, what is the village? Now, why this is important is because a lot of us are unaware of the history and what originally went on. Originally, this planet, the entire planet, was under matriarchal rule, meaning it was the woman that ruled everything. And that's because it was a woman that was here originally. And this wasn't that long ago, especially when we're looking at the Americas. When we're talking about the Americas, you want to recognize and understand, even as early as the 1600s, you can see that there was, and there's still matriarchal rule in certain places on the planet. When you're talking about India, when you're talking about China, there's still woman rule. And there are some underlying rules that you'll hear about where you recognize that it's the woman that is the matriarch. So originally, the planet was ruled by women. And so a lot of people are unaware of that. So why is that important? Because what we're not recognizing is what's going on in this patriarchal society and why it is absolutely opposite of what nature had intended. So now, when we're looking at this, a lot of laws come into play, which includes universal laws, includes natural laws. And so when we're recognizing this, we can better understand where we need to position ourselves as we get ready to change in this new dimension or what have you that's coming up. There's a lot of changes being made. All right. And so as we are recognizing this, we begin to understand, okay, all right, what's going on in this patriarchal society? Why are things so haywire? How do we get back on track? Well, one of the things we talk about is the mind of the woman and getting her back in her right mind. Because right now, she is allowing certain things to take place that in her right mind, when she's in her right mind, that change alone will change this whole society. That change alone of getting her back into her right mind will change her society. All right. So now, what are we dealing with now? What are we dealing with? When we're looking at this whole dimension, we've got to recognize the spiritual side of this whole game. And this is important because a lot of, what is going on? Hold on for one moment. Boy, these technical difficulties. All right, so one moment. As we're talking about this whole game, we got to recognize that we are in a very spiritual time right now. And so when we're looking at what's going on in society, we need to recognize the different entities. All right, because I need to go into this on a molecular side. One of the statistics that I have spoken about a lot is that when we're looking at war-torn societies or a woman who is in distress, she's more likely to give birth to males. And we can see this again when we go into these war-torn societies, how much higher the male population is than it is to female. Now, why this is important is because when a woman is under distress, all right, she has a chemical balance within her that causes her to, she is the one who creates the male. See, let me tell y'all something. what this society has, made us believe is, that it's the male that's doing, that's causing the sex of the child, when really it's the state of the mother. Where's her mind, mentally, physically, emotionally? Is she balanced? If she's off balance, if she's in distress, if she doesn't like her job, she doesn't like herself, she can be doing drugs, whatever it is, getting beat up by her mate, whatever. That is what's going to cause a male to come about. This is not, again, you can see this in several places. Whatever her state is at the time of the pregnancy, I'm not talking about the time of she's giving birth, but at the time, that beginning stage up until that 3rd month, this is what happens. This is what causes her to shift that. When y'all start getting into the molecular structure of the male and the female, which I break this down in several of my videos about what's really going on within her. Now, that's just the physical side. On the spiritual side, see, y'all got to remember, we have been here before. As I say, we are gods. The book tells you that. And those of y'all who study, you know who you are, that you are creating all of the energies in your dimension. And we carry karmic baggage. So once, we're leaving these vessels, we're coming back. And we're carrying baggage. All right. That baggage is what helps you to create your next vessel. Whatever the baggage is that you put out before you got back in here, that baggage and that karmic energy creates this vessel. See, these vessels are a makeup of laws. Your color, your skin, your hair, all of that. Whether you have any defects, that has to do with your karmic makeup. All right, so you as a spiritual entity created this vessel with your energies from another time. And that's one of the things that we have to remember, because all of this plays a role in understanding what you're looking at, because everything you're seeing is simply an energy. That's all it is. It's simply an energy. And so when we're looking at a society where there are a lot of males, you're looking at the mind of the woman. That's what you're looking at. And what you're seeing is a society where the women are under stress. That's it. Oh, I know, because see, we've been made to think, it's 50-50. There's a reason why there's a male. Again, you got to remember, this is, and I go into this, you can go back and look at the sessions I deal with about what are we, who are we, male, female. Go and look at those sessions, and I go deeper into this on a molecular level about what the Y chromosome is, why it comes about. Again, this is not a diss. I know it doesn't matter if I say that or not, because y'all gonna still say, this is a hate speech. No, it's not. Listen, y'all gotta pay attention. When you recognize what's really going on, then you can change your whole world. If you want to stay in a religious state where you just think things are happenstance, well, then you're going to allow somebody to continue to create for you. They're going to continue to create your dimension for you. All right, I have to preface that because I need you all to recognize that we are really controlling this whole game and this whole situation with our mind. All right, this is not to say the male is a bad entity, none of that. This is not saying that. What this is saying to you is we have to recognize that we have a lot of things to learn about what's going on in this dimension on the spiritual side, as well as the physical side that we haven't been taught. So I'm just giving you the information. You can go and look it up. Remember, there's a session I did because I don't want to go into the molecular side. I've done that already. I got to talk about the village and why it was lost. All right, because all of us know of that term. It takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to raise a child. Well, y'all haven't seen a village. There hasn't been a village. Well, why is it that we remember this phrase? What does it mean? Where does it come from? It takes a village to raise a child, meaning that there's a whole group of entities there protecting that child to make sure that it doesn't get preyed upon. Well, we in a family now. What is the family? Y'all got to understand the term family and what that means. That means slaves and servants. Slaves and servants. When originally, it was the village. Well, what is the village? The village was her mother, her aunts, her grandmothers, her sisters, her cousins, her nieces, her girlfriends. It was the women that were taking care of the village. All right. And so now we're at the point where we have lost that. And we've got to get back to that. It's not saying old male is not important. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying to you that when the woman is not under duress, right, there are things that she's supposed to be doing that she has not done. She has not stood up in her place. And that is the problem. That is the problem with what is going on today. So when we're looking at seeing the mind of the woman, and you look around and you see all of this turmoil and chaos, see, it's on her. Her mind is not right, because every male is going to come from a woman. And she's not recognizing that she is the one who's controlling the entire situation. So when we're talking about the village, we're talking about women getting their minds right and standing in their place. And I know a lot of us come from these religious. See, that's the thing. When I can get your mind to believe something, then I can control you. And the problem with women is that they're not recognizing that they are the ones who have to step up. The male is going to follow the woman. Now we're talking about nature. In nature, the male follows the woman. He's waiting on her. When we're, again, this is not a diss to the brothers. It's saying to the woman, you got to step up. And so when I say that, I don't get it. Why women are not, I prefer you. Oh, she's woman bashing. Okay, good. Get up. Because there's a place where we're not standing. She is the one who's protecting. Even look in nature. Who is the one who does all the protecting? See, the thing is, when we go back to nature and we respect the nature of a male, then there are things that as a woman, we're going to make sure we take care of. We have not been doing that. We haven't been doing that. And this even includes trying to get him the child support and all of this. That was never his role. That was never his role. You're trying to force him to do something that's outside of the nature of his vessel. Mom, what are you talking about, Diva? Okay, when we go into nature, who is the one that's always protecting the child? That's the female. That's the mother. And that is her position. And that's what we have not been doing. That's why we're talking about the village. What happened to it? So I can go back to this when we talk about what a family is. A family is where we're dealing with slaves and servants. Where did that come from? Because I say you haven't seen the village since the invent of patriarchy. This really took a stronghold in that change when we went from BC to AD. This is when patriarchy really started to take a stronghold. BC to AD, that changed there. The Bible comes into play, which all religions are patriarchal, all of them. So when we start talking about the Bible coming into play in 300 AD, 325 AD, that was patriarchal. All of the things that dealt with the matriarch has started to get shut down. This includes the Parthenon. Look up the Parthenon. If y'all haven't heard me talk about that, y'all can go back to my other videos and catch that. All right. So when we're talking about patriarchy, we're talking about this is when the woman became the slave, We're talking about the wife and the marriage certificate that this marriage ceremony that y'all hold in such high esteem. That was the woman being taken as a slave, as property to the male. These are facts. Y'all can go and look this up. When she became his wife, she became his property. Why was there a marriage license? So that he can do commerce with her across different state lines. Commerce. When you look up the term commerce, you're going to find the term sex. All right? Sex. So he would have or the license to have sex with her in different states. She became his slave, his property. When you look up the term family, you're going to find the term slaves and servants. So now she is the one who is giving birth to his other slaves, and they are his property. He has a family, a set of slaves and servants. That's what that means. What happened to the village? Well, patriarchy is what happened to the village. And we're just dealing here with how do we return to a state of balance? A state of balance. Well, that's when you return to nature and return to what is natural. We're off balance because she doesn't have her village anymore. So now she has to learn to create her or recreate her village. And again, that is where I'm gonna go into some things here. I'm gonna go into some personal things. I'm going to go into some statistics so that we can understand what's really going on, because I'm not suggesting that, get rid of the male. No. That's our brother. We got to love him, but we don't have a respect for him. We don't have a respect for his nature. And that's what we need to learn to have a respect for. And then we can get back to balance. All right. What I said, what the village consisted of were the women. And again, I speak about how the village disappeared when patriarchy took over, when she was taken over. Now, let me say this as I go into it, because by no means is she a victim. The woman did some dirt. She created the male, and she created the male not out of love, but to be a slave. So when I go back to some of my sessions where I'm talking about where the human vessel supposedly came from, we have a group of beings that are known largely as the Anunnaki, that came in and were creating these entities, which we know today as humans, supposedly, according to what my research is showing. Now, these Anunnaki created a being purposely to be a slave. They didn't want this being to be highly intelligent. Why? Because they didn't want the being to be equal to them. And that first being that came from that female Anunnaki was a male, according to my research. But he came from a female, which was the Anunnaki. She would be considered the god. All right. When these Anunnaki beings were supposedly putting their DNA into these human beings that were, in their eyes, a lower being to the Anunnaki. And because they were doing this, when you put your DNA into something, you have created forever a link with it, and they tied to it. When you put your DNA in something, you have forever created a link and they tied to it. So when the scientists are looking at the DNA of the human and they're saying it's not native to this planet, they're seeing another being, another entity. So our DNA doesn't just start with, the human quote unquote race. It starts with whatever entity put its DNA into these vessels to create the vessels. All right. So in understanding that, those Anunnaki supposedly left. But according to science, they couldn't leave. According to universal law, they couldn't just leave. They're still here. Because things don't just die. It was said that they got old and they died. Some of them die here. They don't just die. Because again, they are spiritual entities too. They have to come back. Well, what are they going to come back in? They're going to come back in the vessel that they created. They're going to come back in the vessel that they created. And so here you have these entities that have created these vessels. They forever link themselves on a spiritual level with these vessels. They're still here. And they're here in different forms. And then they're here within us. So again, there's that physical side that we're talking about with these vessels. Then there's the spiritual side as well. And we got to see how they all tie in. Because when we're looking at this society and we recognize that everything is an energy, then you got to understand you're looking at the mind of the woman. You're looking at her mind when you're seeing whatever crime taking place, whatever splits that are going on in society, the government, men doing whatever they do, Albions, all of this is in her mind. And the more we recognize this, the more we can change our dimension to be whatever we want it to be. And it starts with the women. It starts with her. Now, I want to go into some things because I had this guy to say to me once, women are in, he says, women are in turmoil because more Black women don't get married and blah, blah, blah. Listen up. I'm going to tell y'all something. Women outnumber men. And then he goes on to say that the Black woman, Black, y'all know I don't call my people Black because Black means subpar. Black means you are not fully human. Black means pale and without color. Black means you have no legal standing. So if you want to, again, remember, go back and look at some of my sessions where I talk about what this term Black is, but I won't get into that. He says that they're in turmoil and because they're not married. Now, I'm going to go back to this. When we're talking about the population and there is a higher number of females, again, you're looking at a woman who's less in turmoil. He wants to believe that no other woman but the Black woman has been mistreated and held down. And listen, that's just not the case. We're strong people. We're strong women. And when you look at other societies, no, the woman has been kept down way more and been way more disrespected than the melanated woman here in the Americas, especially. This is why, see, when you seeing her less likely to be married, these are the women that are finding themselves in peace. This is just a fact. That's why she's outnumbering him. She's finding a peace. How many women do you hear that tell you, girl, when I'm by myself, I don't have no drama. She's at peace. So I'm going to give you some statistics so you can go. And actually, these are quotes. I didn't make these up. I didn't write them. These are just things that I took out of quotes, and you can go and put them in Google and search them for yourself. And you can search them for yourself and see this is not what I'm making up. So we're going to get into this. The marriage, the women in marriages statistical statements that Diva didn't make up. All right. Mothers earn less than non-mothers. All right. Mothers earn less than non-mothers. These are women who are not married, without children. Fathers earn more than non-fathers. All right. Young, single, childless women earn more than men. I'm going to say that again. Young, single, childless women earn more than men. The health status of single men tends to be poorer than for married men, while never married women tend to enjoy better health than other women. Once again, I'm not making this up. These are the quotes from the statistics that I've researched. Another quote: never married women tend to manage their lives better than do single men. Quote: studies suggest that single men are more depressed, report lower levels of well being and life satisfaction and poorer health, and are more likely to commit suicide than single women. Quote: the median income of Black women is higher than the median income of Black men. Now, all of these are showing that when a woman is single and unmarried, no children, she's in a happier state than her married with children counterpart. I'm not telling you not to have children. I'm just giving you the stats. Don't beat up the messenger. I'm just giving you the stats. Go and look it up. What is my point? My point here is that as a woman, you've got to understand what your power is. When you go into a union, I'm saying recognize and respect the male for who he is. Respect him. And so when you're looking at these stats, what you're saying is she finds her balance and peace when she is alone. I'm not telling you to be alone now. I'm just letting you know what the stats are. And I'm just saying you've got to find your peace. That's it. We as women, we have to find our peace. I'm not telling you what to do one way or the other, but you've got to recognize what's going on when you see these vessels. They tell a story. There is a reason why it's there. This is a set of laws. This is not bashing or hate. This is just telling you what the facts are. I say this as I get into these statistics because they're not pretty, but I need to break them down because there's some things we're not understanding about the male, our brother, and what we have asked him to do and how we have not been standing in our responsibility as women. We're not standing in our responsibilities because we have to protect the child. That's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to protect the child. And we're asking the brother to do something that's not even in the nature of his vessel. When you go into nature, see, this is the thing. We just, we're human, and because we ain't no animals. He's supposed to do this, and he's supposed to do that. You're not respecting him when you're trying to force him into doing something that's not within his nature. But when you look at other beings in nature, there's things that they won't do for a reason because they respect him. This whole mama bear, papa bear, baby bear thing, it's all garbage. It's garbage because a female bear is not going to allow a male bear to sleep in a cave with her and her child. It's not going to happen. Why? Because she knows who he is and she respects him. She respects that. I'm not going to put you in a position to allow you to screw up with respect to my child. Why? Because a male bear is liable to wake up in the middle of the night and have that child as a snack. She knows that. So she's going to do what she needs to do to make sure she's protecting that child, because she can't go to the police and, oh, he ate my, no. By that time, it's too late anyway. So what I'm saying to you is, as we learn to stand back in our position as women, as mothers, then we're going to learn to step up and change all of this stuff that's going on around us. Because again, what you're looking at when you see a society where the male outnumbers the female, even by a small percentage, that's huge. That's huge. That's a woman who's in distress. So when you look at the numbers of melanated women who are less likely to get married, or who are desiring to get married less, and you're seeing this spike in the females, in the female population, that's why, because she's moving away. If she does come with him, she's going to get with him on her terms, and she's going to maintain her peace. She's going to be comfortable about going off and doing what she needs to do with that child. She's more at peace. And when a woman is at peace, she's more likely to give birth to a female. When there's balance, there's peace, and there's love, she's going to give birth to a female. I'm just letting you know what the game is, that we're not being told. Don't be mad at me. This is not a bash. Go look it up. I'm going to get into these statistics, because one of the things we're not recognizing is what the Y chromosome is. And because we're not recognizing that and respecting it, again, we keep putting males in a position where it's unnatural to their whole vessel. And in doing so, we're not protecting the child in the way that we're supposed to. All right. So I'm going to get on these statistics. 1 out of 4 women and 1 out of 6 males. Out of 1 out of 4 women, or 1 out of 6 males, more than 75% of the perpetrators. Now, what I'm saying here, and actually this statistic is low. This was an older statistics. When we're talking about inappropriate sexual contact before the age of 16, really that number is 2 out of 3 women. All right, 2 out of 3 women and 3 out of 5 males. This is more than half of the population that have had inappropriate sexual contact with someone before the age of 16, with an adult before the age of 16. And so more than 75% of those perpetrators are in the family, right? More than 85% of those perpetrators are males. Another 7% don't even know what they identify as. So they like, well, I'm male, but they don't even know. So what I'm saying to you is, a large percentage of the perpetrators of these sexual crimes are in the family, and they're male. Of every 1 case reported, more than 5 people said nothing. So again, we're looking at more than half of the population that's walking around that has had some kind of sexual issue in their childhood, and we're wondering why we have trust issues. And because as women, we're not standing up and protecting that child in the way that it should be. Again, more than 75% of the perpetrators that are doing this, they're in the family. There's not people coming from outside the family. And the large number of them are males. Every 1 case reported, more than 5 people said nothing. Again, we're looking at a large percentage of the population. I'm going to get into this other statistic. I know this is not pretty, because when we're talking about offenses against the woman and the child, more than 85% are male. When we're talking about uh, molestation, more than 85% of them are male. When we're talking about violent crimes, more than 85% are male. Murders, more than 80% are males. See, we're not understanding what that Y chromosome is and why it came about. And there's always this whole focus on pulling people, or it's the rich against the poor, it's the young and the old, it's the all this other things, black and white. But we're not looking at these real hard statistics about who it is that's really doing all of the crime. But with that being said, about all these statistics, you would think, oh, we're gonna blame it on the male, but really it's not his fault, it's the woman's fault. What? Come on, Diva. How is it the woman's fault when it's 85% of it? Because 100% of those entities and those beings came from the woman. 100%. He is only reflecting her. He's reflecting her. And when she gets her mind right, he doesn't do that. He doesn't do those things. Again, he's reflecting what's inside of her. All the males come from a woman. And if he's putting this energy out, then you've got to know that he got it from her. So again, as women, we tend to want to say, hey, we the ones in charge. We the black woman is God. The black woman is God. All right. Well, then you are responsible. You're responsible. And at what point do we step up and start recognizing who we are? Once we do that, this is when everything in society turns around. So it's no good to be dissing him and, oh, my baby dad ain't nothing. Well, listen, again, going back to the laws, the universal laws, everybody who's in your space is a reflection of who you are. If he ain't nothing, then what does that say about you? The same way when we look at this society, it's a reflection of the women as a whole in the society. What's going on that we see in this society? Well, she's the problem. If he's, has a disrespect for women, if he's not, caring about his look, he's got his pants sagging and he's thugging and he's doing all this, she's the problem. What's going on with the woman that brought that entity into this dimension? So as I continue, and I'm gonna see if I can take some questions. I can't see any questions. Let's see. Again, I'm on a new apparatus here. Yeah, I can't see any questions at all. Let's see. All right. Well, I'm gonna try to. I would take some questions, but I can't because I can't see any. So what I'm gonna do is finish up here. As I was saying, I'm sure y'all pretty pissed off at me. I don't know, every time I do these sessions, I don't get a video. I do a session on the village. I can't get I can't see the comments rather. Let's see here. So as I finish those statistics, I need to say this. Listen, I've been in a situation, again, when we're talking about returning to the village. And I talked about this in one of my earlier videos, whereby my mother had a village, all right? Or I had villages, depending on whether I was going with my mother or my father, because they were separated when I was young, probably before I was born. But I always knew my father. And whenever I go to my father's house, I'd have a village. What's the village? It would be his mother, which is my grandmother, his sisters, my aunts, and his nieces, which were my cousins. That was my village. And whenever I was around them, I was protected. Never had anybody coming at me. They protected me. And when we're talking about the village on my mother's side, it was her mother, which was my grandmother, her girlfriends, or my aunt. That was her village. Never had any issues. Always protected in the village. But when there was this being that came in, and we moved to another state. We moved to another state. We left the villages behind. We left the villages behind. And she was depending on him to take care of me. Now, I'm not saying all men would do such a thing. I'm saying you have to respect their nature. And so at that time, and I talked about this, yeah, I was one of the statistics. Now, it wasn't as bad for me because my mother ended up leaving that situation, but there was that sexual contact at a young age. And I don't go into detail on that, but I say to you, this is not a bash, because I recognize that that was an energy, and it happened, for whatever spiritual reason. However, at the same time, again, it wasn't nearly as bad. There was no penetration, but there was contact that should not have been had. It was inappropriate. And again, my mother didn't know. How do you know? You trust these beings. But if we're respecting their nature, then you'll know that we're putting them in a position where other beings on the planet, other societies know better than to trust. And I'm not saying, once again, all men will do this. No, I never said that. But what I am saying is, are you standing in your position as the woman, as the matriarch, to make sure you're protecting the child? Where is your village? Where's the village? And so when we're looking at these situations where all of these children are coming up molested, and once again, as the statistics say that I did my own research on, of every one case reported, 5 people didn't say a word. Again, that's more than half of the population that's walking around that has been molested, and we wonder why there's all these trust issues. Nobody's speaking about it. Nobody's trying to do anything about it. You're more worried about gay folks and all kind of other Democratic and Republican than you are about why are we having this high rate of sexual molestation amongst our children? Why is that not coming up? Why is it always the big topic is something that has nothing to do with making sure this society stays on track? Oh, politics has everything to do. When it does it? When did your vote ever make a damn difference? Because some of y'all are not even recognizing the fact that y'all are voting in a corporation that has nothing to do. Y'all paying taxes to a corporation that's owned by Britain. Y'all are all stuck in the wrong thing. You fired up about gay people, gay rights, whether you gay rights or gay people shouldn't do this, and gay people. What about that child that's getting molested? Because you're choosing to leave it with someone who you know has a record. Oh, but they would never. Okay. We're not even dealing with the true issue as women. Who's protecting that child? Where's the village? I know this is a tough subject. And I revealed that I was one of those statistics of someone who was at a young age having inappropriate sexual contact Because my mother left the village. They'll go back to the village and start respecting his nature. There's nobody saying to diss him, but you know who he is. Respect that. Like all the other beings in the other societies do. Y'all want to call them animals. Y'all want to call them animals. They're beings in a society, and nature leaves clues when we choose to look at it. The lioness doesn't leave her cubs in the hand of the lion. Why? Because she know he likely to kill it. Especially if it's a quote unquote stepfather coming in. He'll kill that child because he's like, I don't want to deal with some other man's baby. He killed that. Birds go off, they not leaving their babies with a male. No, she leave it by herself before she'll leave it with him. I'm saying y'all got to get back to the village. And you got to create your own, then create your own. Nobody's saying don't be with him, but you respect his nature. Respect his nature. Respect it. Because other beings know better, because there's nobody who they going to call on. Nobody else who you can call on. You have the responsibility of protecting the being that you brought into this dimension. You do. And you need to deal with other beings that have that nature within them to take that upon themselves to protect this being. When a lioness is coming up on zebras or even a giraffe, who's going to protect the baby giraffe? The father giraffe is gone. He up at the front of the line trying to get out of Dodge. Only person who's going to put their life on the line for that child would be the mother. That's it. And so in understanding that, we've got to, as women, recognize, all right, when are we going to start addressing this issue of sexual predators on these babies? When are we going to start addressing that? If I hear you talking about some damn gay people and some politics over here, and you haven't addressed even your own sexual issues as a child, then you're not serious about this game. When we start addressing that, you're going to see this whole dimension change. And you're starting to see that, especially as the woman comes into her own space of peace and love. If you can find that with your male counterpart, great, wonderful. But as she finds her peace, you're going to see a difference in this whole society. As she comes into her right mind, you're going to see a difference in this whole society. And I apologize to you. I can't answer your questions because I can't see them. But leave your comments. I'll answer them later or I'll respond to them later. But as I get out of here, again, this is not about bashing the brother, because as I said, when we recognize who he is our reflection. So if you got some male in your dimension and he is whatever you call him, you're the problem, not him. You're the problem. As the woman, you're the problem. Because as you change you, he's got to change, period. And so it doesn't even help to be trying to diss anybody. I'm, dissing him and he ain't worth of this. Well, he's not a problem. Where is your mind? Because as the woman changed, so does he. If you look at nature, it is always the male that's trying to get her attention, trying to play up everything for her. Well, we got it backwards in this human society. We got it all backwards. We're all away from nature. We got to get back to nature. We've got to get back to the village. Where is the matriarch? You've got to stand up as the woman and then take your place. That's what you have to do. It's not a diss on him. But you're the one who has that power and the ability to make the change. And as long as the woman is off balance, so shall the society be off balance, period. As long as the woman is off balance, so shall the society be off balance. So if you're wanting to make a change, and you start with you. All of this stuff with taking the father to what do we call child protective services, or not child protective, but the turning them over where the people are coming at him, social services, to take his money. That shouldn't even be happening. That shouldn't even be happening. That didn't happen. And as a matter of fact, as we get into this, where we're talking about child support, it's her responsibility. As you see, when she's on her own, she makes more money because she's in her right mind. And so I say to you again, as we move into this next dimension of whatever we're in, we want to learn to love that brother and contract with him in such a way that it is in accord with his nature. Contract with him in such a way that it is in accordance with his nature. We're asking him to protect and to be a provider and to listen. Let's just talk about protection. The danger comes from her. See, all this game is spiritual that we haven't been taught. We've been made to think that things are happenstance and stuff just happens. And if it's in her mind, she's created it. She's going to create it, and she's going to bring the danger. And then it's her energies. It's her energies. We as women, we slanging energies all over this planet and are absolutely clueless. Absolutely clueless about our power. That's why when that guy, that man and that woman break up, he can't get right. Because she's putting energy on him. He's constantly running, especially if there's child support. I've seen it. And so I say to you that we have to, again, go back to the village. And again, this doesn't mean not dealing with him. What it means is making sure if you have a child, you make sure it's protected. You got baby daddies coming in and out, or other boyfriends coming in and out, where you're increasing the likelihood of your child becoming a prey. This means getting back to the village. This does not mean dissing the brother. This doesn't mean, I can't be with. I'm just saying to you, we're not addressing the true issues in this society. And why is it that we got our focus on all these other things, but more than 50% of the population are walking around with issues from their childhood that haven't been dealt with, where they were molested, where there was a sexual predator, and he was likely in the family, and she doesn't feel like she can say anything, or he doesn't, because it happens to males, little boys too. We're not dealing with those true issues. We stuck on BS. Well, when she gets her mind right, and when the woman is ready to face these issues, she's ready to deal with her village and ready to respect the male and the brother for who he is, then that's when the society will get back on track. And so again, I say to you, when you're seeing the women outnumber the men and this melanated women, well, that's because we're returning to nature. And again, you're going to understand and remember, go and look up the Y chromosome. I spoke about this, where we're going in this society. And so as we do this, as we return, I say to you, look, just do your homework, do your research, move closer to your spirit, and you'll understand where all of this is going. Because when we're talking about these vessels, listen, the spirit outlives these vessels. Whether we're talking about albions, male, females, all of this, government, got to go away. All of it's got to go away, all of it. Where's your spirit? That's what you want to get involved with. As we talking about light bodies, we create new bodies. We create new vessels outside of what we know as this human vessel. And you want to go into this thing creating a bigger, better vessel. What am I talking about? See, when y'all just think about, oh, I'm gonna come back, you think about coming back in this vessel. Y'all, you can create whatever vessel you want. What about the vessel that allows you to teleport, to levitate, to speak without moving your lips, to move things outside of your vessel, to move things within your vessel? Nobody told you that was possible, but they show you. They show you in the movies all the time. Y'all just think that's entertainment. That's what we used to do as guides. We're getting back to that point. Before we get there, we're going to get back to nature. I'm just here to let you know what's going on if you choose to listen, if you choose to study, if you choose to see for yourself. All right. So with that being said, I want to thank you all for joining me. You can catch us on Thursdays. You'll catch us on Thursdays from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. and Tuesdays from 9 a.m. to 11, provided there's no technical issues. But yeah, from 9 a.m. on Tuesdays to 11 a.m. on Tuesdays. And then on Thursdays from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. I want to thank you all for joining us. We've got some big things going on here at UNA. Don't forget, we've got a history session coming up. I want to invite you all to, be ready for that. It's going to be a 10-week session where we go through the molecular structure, all kind of things. We're going through the women's history. We're going through the history of the planet. And, we're going to tie in what's going on with law, meaning man's law, and all of this whole thing. So the history and how law comes into effect and molecular structure, all of that. We're going to do some etymology in there. So you want to be a part of that history session. We're also going to have a financial instrument writing course. We deal with bonds, A for V's, certificates, promissory notes, how to create them. We're going to deal with different cases, including child support, any kind of court case you might have, foreclosure. So y'all want to be a part of that because it's going to be a great session. It's going to be very powerful as well. That's the instrument writing session. And of course, we've got Back to Basics coming up where we're talking about putting your all capital letter name under trust, putting yourself under trust. So we're going to get back to the basics. So look, I invite you all to join us in our sessions coming up in our summer season, July, August, starting in the second week of July. All right, so we're going to see y'all there. Thank you all for joining us. Leave your comments in the comments section, and I'm going to get to them. I love y'all. I'm out. Peace. Bye-bye.